Whoa, shit! Welcome to the Metal Robot Reviews channel. I'm your host, Tom McKay. Do you guys remember the metal melting pot thing I talked about in the Mutiny Within review? Well, suffice to say, it's a very popular title because nothing more seems to fall into this category as well. Though, to be fair, I see why. They have a very unique sound within the alternative metal scene, amongst all the other bands. Their albums tend to have flowing narratives within itself, a la prog style, and their vocalist is someone that you swear sang for every emo band that ever existed. Recently, these San Antonio boys have been garnering a lot of attention with their music and live shows. So much so that Luke from Rock Reviews actually gave his first 10 out of 10 for a new release to Nothing More's newest album, The Stories We Tell Ourselves. So, I was intrigued, of course. And I gotta say, one of the things I noticed after a while with this album was, holy shit, I was just listening to this album for the 9th time in a row. The album itself is full of stories that relate to the world we live in today. Right? There are songs about the current political situation, or even like the situation throughout time in songs like Do You Really Want It and Let 'Em Burn. There's also the nature of human interaction in the song Funny Little Creatures, to even dealing with losing a father figure or a parent figure in the song Fade In, Fade Out. These songs will hit you hard in the morals and get you really thinking about the world. As well, they'll hit you in the feels, man! After I first heard the Golden track for the first time, I remember specifically picking up my phone almost immediately and going, Mom? I love you! Aside from the hard-hitting lyrics, everything else about this album is just fantastic. The vocals done by Johnny Hawkins are very catchy and very in your face. The dude has a very wide range that he takes high advantage of throughout the entirety of this album. It also helps that this dude has an absurdly talented trio behind him. Mark Valunga's guitar work is exquisitely played, each riff setting in motion each song, while Daniel Oliver's bass and Ben Anderson's drum work set a good rhythm to get into. By the way, suffice to say, Mr. Valunga, your name isn't recognized by Microsoft Word. I'm sorry, but it's true. And you know what? It's okay. If it makes you feel any better, your name is most likely not recognized by the name pronouncer 9000 that lives in my vocal cords. So, I mean, don't worry about it. And you know what? How about I make you feel even better by saying that this album that you guys put out has no flaws to it? Well, at least none that can actually hold up extremely well in my book. I've heard some people say that the length of the album might be troublesome for a lot of people who can't process that amount of music, but the songs are so easily digestible, including the speeches and interlude tracks, that it can stick with you for a long time, regardless of whether you've heard one track or all of them. I've heard some people say that the speeches and interludes are too many, and they're just there to break up the flow and for the sake of having interludes. And while that might be true that there are 5 interlude tracks, including the intro track, they serve a pretty good purpose of being able to weave into each other to be able to break up the flow of the album, but also to continue the narrative forward without causing any jet lag or any like problems for the listener. I've even heard some people say that the album opener is too short and does absolutely nothing to set the tone for the album. To which I raise your jack to a king and say, if an award-winning, universally praised metal album can open itself with just this, then these guys can open with whatever the fuck they want. But a legitimate argument I have heard is that some of the songs do tend to fake each other out with its heaviness. For example, the song Don't Stop opens up with a beat that doesn't really sound like it should be played in a rock song, but more sound like it should be played in a rave that takes place in a Baba reference. I actually remember I played this song for a friend of mine a couple days ago, and he doesn't listen to any rock or metal, mind you. He actually is more of like the pop type of thing. To each his own. But I played the song for him, and he was like, dude, I didn't know you listen to this kind of music. That's awesome, dude. Oh my god. About fucking time. Okay. No, seriously, he couldn't tell it was rock until Mr. Oliver and Mr. Valunga started going at it. But if anything, that could be considered a plus for the music, as in many respects, this could be very accessible to all music listeners of all different audiences. And for me, that's That is considered very true. But you know what? Enough dick sucking for this album. It's very clear I like this album, so pull out the overall rating of how much dick sucky I was and give my conclusion statement. So, overall, this album is a journey that might sound hard initially, but is easier than you might think. The album will hit you hard in a lyrical sense, and Johnny and Company will stick with you for a very long time. While this album did come out a few weeks ago, I can safely say that this album will stick with me for the rest of the year and beyond that. With great riffs, catchy melodies, and poignant lyrics, the stories we tell ourselves will shine bright the further down into this dive into our psyche we go. So, pick it up, spin it a few times, because like me, you might be sucked into an audience that sees human nature in a whole new light. So that's my review of Nothing More's The Stories We Tell Ourselves. What are your thoughts on the album? What are your thoughts on the band altogether? Let me know in the comments below. And if you guys have found any problems with this album, seriously, let me know in the comments as well, because I would love to see what you guys would find and if it'll stack up. No joke, if someone can find a legitimate problem with this album, that'd be the most interesting thing of this entire year. And that's saying a lot. But with that said, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys liked the video, hit the like button. If you're new here, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the mosh pit next time. Have a good night, everyone.